Welcome back to the CNR recap. I'm Griffin Aldrich. Alongside me, I gotta hold my breath really quick. We have a long list. Tommy Martinotti, Carl McDonald, Daniel Miguel, and Andrew Quinn, and we are back. And the energy is high because the Celtics win, and not other than that, Chris Boucher played. Let's give it a round of applause for Chris Boucher. Let's go, Chris Boucher. And you guys know it. The Celtics won with a final score 112 to 93. And before we even get into it and get into initial thoughts, I got to throw something out there. Chris Boucher didn't only play, he had a 3-pointer at the end. And then Westbrook tried fighting him, which, I mean, I get it. And we were just talking about this before we went on. It's the old head way of the game, like it happened with Vucevic. But it's like, I think Scal was saying on the broadcast how, Boucher explained hey, I haven't played in a while. But I think realistically what it is I think he meant to shoot it after, right before the buzzer, right as, so it wouldn't have counted and it just went in. That's what I'm guessing. But congrats to Chris Boucher. But you guys know the drill. Initial thoughts will go Tommy and go all the way around. But what are your initial thoughts after this big Celtics win?
Definitely a great win after that rough game against Atlanta. We saw the Celtics kind of struggle offensively against that Atlanta defense. And then going into tonight without Brown, it was, I was curious to see who would step up offensively. Would it be Pritchard, White? But we kind of saw a bunch of guys step up offensively. Pritchard led the way. I believe he had 29 tonight, very efficient, 12 of 16 from the floor. So really, the Celtics came out hot out of the gate and kind of ran away with the game early. We were in full control for the full 48 minutes, it felt like. They came out and started 5 of 5 from the field, so they felt good offensively right off the start of the game, which I think led to a bunch of guys hitting shots throughout. And watching the Kings, I truly feel bad for Kings fans because I struggled to watch bad NBA basketball, and I just feel like the Kings are so poorly constructed. We kind of saw DeRozan and Levine get matched up in Chicago a few years back, and we saw a little bit of success with those two. And then when Lonzo Ball got hurt, I feel like the Bulls kind of just tanked. And now they're both older. And for some reason, I think the Kings thought it was a good idea to kind of try that out again with, a veteran in Westbrook at point guard, veteran Schroeder at point guard. They have some young pieces, but not many. So I really feel like the Kings are in a very lost position right now as a franchise. So I really feel for Kings fans, and, it makes us kind of feel blessed to kind of be Celtics fans and be able to watch at least good and competitive basketball on a night-to-night basis. But all around, just a good bounce-back win for this team against a struggling Kings team. Good to get Brown some rest and for those young guys to get some confidence out there playing bigger minutes.
Yeah, absolutely agree with Tommy. A great way to bounce back from what was a very disappointing loss against ATL back also on our home court. Peyton Pritchard was absolutely incredible leading that offense and leading the team in the absence of Jaylen Brown, who, of course, has been doing some great things throughout the season. Derek White wasn't too well, out there, with his 7 points. But, hey, that's just how it is. Still, a win is a win. But with a win like this too, you also got to talk about Baylor Shireman, season high 16 points there. Everybody else was also contributing in some way, shape, or form. It was really great to see this Boston Celtics team essentially starting and ending almost in a consistent fashion with their offense and just showing effort and really taking apart this Kings team again without their leader in Jaylen Brown. And, as we talked about, outside of Boucher getting some minutes too, we saw Minot getting some minutes as well, both of them hitting threes. And funny enough, when Boucher, did what he did, kind of reminded me of when, a boxer is taking money from that mafia dude. And if he doesn't throw in the fight, then he loses more than just, the money and stuff. So, because Westbrook was after him and stuff. So it's kind of a funny dilemma, but great to see that Boucher finally got some minutes, even if it was for a few minutes. And great to see the Boston Celtics picking up this win.
Yeah, good win for the column. We're now 2-0 against them on the season, which with about the same score differential in both games. So I think the thing I like the most underrated thing about this game is the fact that the Kings never led once. Like I think we just did an amazing job of keeping the foot on the pedal and like keeping the foot on the gas and just like it was a much more controlled game, one of the most like controlled games we've had from the Celtics this season where you know, we're not looking tired out there. We're not giving up easy shots for the Kings. We're not making it easy for them, you know. Which it's very hard to make it easy for the Kings because, like Tommy said, they're the Kings and they're very poorly orchestrated. So not much they can do against a team like the Celtics. But still, it was good to see that we didn't play down to the level, you know, like the Celtics have done a lot this season. Unfortunately, I'm just glad we're able to keep this one in the bag for the and since the tip off, you know, I'm glad we didn't give him a chance to bounce back or didn't give him even a sense of hope, you know, in terms of a comeback. So yeah, I think that's the most underrated thing when it comes to this game. So yeah, a lot of the players did a good job. Some of them coming off the bench like Shireman. And I'm glad Pritchard stepped up as well tonight in the absence of Jalen Brown.
Yeah, agree with all you guys said. First of all, they ain't playing Ron. I know, man. I think if you watched the game last night, me and Griffin were able to catch the main Celtics. If you watched the game last night, they should have had that win. The Grand Rapids Gold were horrendous, in my opinion. They didn't. They had one guy that was knocking down shots towards the end of the game, hitting big shots, and they kind of sold that win. So I think Joe, Joe, he's kind of a sicko. I think he said, bring him on up, but they're not suiting up. We're just gonna let him sit on the bench and think about what happened. So that's what I think. And then Ron, I'm calling you Ron. We'll go Treefex. Let us know. Have you hit 100 yet? Have you hit 100 followers yet? Because I know you're 99, so let us know. But for tonight's game, I think, yeah, I mean, I don't want to overreact to this game. I don't want to, pat him on the back too much because, like Tommy said, this is a game they should win. I mean, this team, hey, let's go. Um, but
Clap it up, clap it up.
that deserves an applause right there. Let's go. Yeah.
Congrats,
I will
Treefex.
say this game they should have won. Like Tommy said, this is a game that, I mean, they should have won, but they had 7 turnovers tonight, which is very, very good to see because they have, in my opinion, been struggling in that department. They've been averaging, I think, over the last 3 games, at least from my eye, it's not an exact stat, but in that 15, 16 turnover margin, and that's just not going to win you games. And so it's nice to see them take care of the ball tonight against the Kings and give them the opportunity to win. I like seeing 6 guys in double digits for the Celtics, all contributing on this team. I mean, that's just amazing to me because this team does need that consistency, but I also just like how we always have someone that can step up when we need them, and we can rely on that. I will say, as the season winds down, you're going to want to find the rotation is going to get a little slimmer and there's going to be less people coming in and out. So you do want to find guys off the bench that are consistent, and we're not just gambling who's going to give you points when and where. But that's besides the point. 25 assists. When you're over that mark, you're going to win basketball games. So other than that, very good win tonight. No need to get too high on the horse and just move on to the next game and continue to improve. Nice to see Caires with 15 rebounds too when he's in trade talks, for him to still be giving it his all effort. Maybe it's a motivator. Maybe this is another push, another level that Caires can go to because he's in these trade talks, or not in the trade talks, but understands that his position is at risk, right? It's not there. So that's another motivating factor that I like to see Caires perform tonight, the level he did.
No, well said. You guys summed it up perfectly. I mean, Celtics did indeed get out rebounded this game, which is a weird sight because they've been winning the rebound battle, but again, 47-44, and Turnovers, though, we've been talking a lot how we've been struggling with turnovers, and Andrew mentioned it. Only 7 turnovers for the Celtics, 14 turnovers for the Kings. I thought this was a wonderful night. You had guys step up I'm going to sound like a mockingbird, but you had guys step up in the absence of Jaylen Brown. And you had guys like Baylor Shireman have a great night tonight, and Peyton
Baylor
Pritchard,
Shireman.
who
Yeah, he played well.
yeah, he had a great game tonight. 16 points. This is a guy that Quinny's been down on, so gotta hype him
I
up.
have been down, but I actually was thinking about. I don't know when I was thinking about it, but
No, I say
actually
one thing
feel like-
about Baylor real quick.
yeah, go for it. Yeah,
We talked about this early in the season about his, what can his ceiling be, and I kind of dragged his name in the mud defensively. I feel like,
Yeah,
and
same
he's
here.
got a lot better defensively this year. Just over the past few weeks when he has been getting more minutes, I feel like defensively he's just been significantly better than he was at the beginning of the year and last year. And I think that's why we're seeing him get more minutes. He hasn't been overly aggressive on offense, but I think defensively and kind of his effort on the boards is why we're seeing his minutes kind of stay consistent right now.
Oh, well said. I agree. And I love how Joe's playing him too. And I'm sure we'll get into him later too. But I love how Joe is inserting him. Like he might not play a ton of minutes one night, but he's still gonna go out there and get minutes. He's been consistent this year, and that's what I've liked. But enough of me yapping. I think you guys want to see the Boucher altercation, so let's bring that up.
This is what it's called deflection. When you get smoked and you make it all about the shot, good deflection.
Hoping people won't ask you about the actual game and just the shot at the end.
Exactly. Oh, man. He's like, man, I've been sitting on the bench since November. I'm just trying to get a bucket. Okay, that's.
And we got the cap cut out then. My bad. Forgot to take that out. But I gotta say though, I do, Tommy has this altercation with Scal, but I gotta say I do agree with Scal on that take though. Tommy, just playing. I'm not throwing you into the
No, I know.
No, but what was I gonna say though? Tonight though, I agree with that saying from Scal. I agree he was probably just trying to get a bucket at the end or something, but Westbrook was coming at him hot. Westbrook was coming at him hot. Had a conversation with Boucher. One chill guy. Trefex, listen, I know you haven't given a face identity to, but you gotta come on the podcast and tell us about this story sometime. So get a face reveal on here. Why don't you? But with that being said, you guys, we're gonna skip
real quick, because I did want to talk about Mr. Bonfire Baylor.
Hey, yes, sir.
What a name!
Bonfire Baylor.
Wait, we got to tell him the story.
We were at a bar in Portland called Bonfire, and we saw Baylor doing his thing in there. So from here on out, his nickname is Bonfire Baylor. Whenever he starts heating up, we got to tell Drew that. But I will say, I have been kind of a hater on Shireman, but I thought tonight he was more aggressive. I think the coaching staff has been asking him to do that, be more aggressive on the offensive end. I think sometimes he passes up open shots, and tonight he did that. He was taking the shots that he needed to take, and he's a smart player, and I think that sometimes does make up for where maybe his athleticism isn't all there, but physically he knows what he's doing on the court, and tonight he showed that. And so I think he's also just an energy guy, very, very aggressive. So I have been kind of down on him, but I do like to see his growth, and I think there is potential. It's just in spurts coming off the bench, bringing us a spark.
No, see, now you can't hate on him. That's your boy Bonfire Baylor. I mean, maybe one day. All right, that's good enough for us. We'd love to have you on. We would love to, but I'm gonna switch it over to Daniel if you want to give us the quarters, because as you mentioned, Daniel, too, no lead changes from the Kings, and you just see the sea of green the entire time. But take it over, Daniel. Oh, you're muted, by the way.
Forgot about that. This is kind of giving me like PTSD from the game against the Hawks, where you see just a sea of red and just like green a little bit, like at the beginning of the game. But yeah, this time it's on a better note. It's on a good note this time because as you can see, we led all game, like Griffin said, and like I said earlier. No leads from the Kings. And that first quarter differential is one to hope for, for the future, because um, outscoring the other team by 25 points is always a good thing. It's the Celtics score 40 points compared to the Kings 25, and that kind of gives you an idea of how the rest of the game's gonna go. The Celtics lead again at the end of the second. Well, at the end of the second quarter, 32 to 21 points. So it's two quarters in a row now where we're keeping the Kings down to those 20 points per quarter. It happens again in the third quarter, but this time we just can't outscore them. The Kings scoring 20 points compared to the Celtics 17. And then the Kings outscoring the Celtics again in the fourth quarter, 27 to 23. I think in the second half, I think was more kind of like a chill game for the guys, I guess, because of the lead we had. So I think, in my opinion, that's why you see the Kings get those leads at the end of the quarters. I think it's just because the Celtics. It's not that they weren't trying; it's that they were just like more comfortable and more chill, like as the second half went on. But yeah, the largest lead of the game goes to the Celtics at 31 points um, in the third quarter. And yeah, that's
Oh,
Oh.
did we lose him? I think he was saying though that's it for the Celtics.
I thought the winter storm. The winter storm passed.
Oh,
There's a bit
man.
of a cold front, but the power lines are fine right now. So I don't know what to go with David over there.
David, Daniel.
Not David, Daniel. two
It
thieves.
happened to be too.
But I guess while we're waiting for the power lines to be fixed for Daniel, though, you guys almost had me saying David now. Oh, we love having David on too, though. I miss you. I hope it's going well for you, David. But Andrew, if you wanted to give us the player stats for the Kings, though.
Yeah.
We officially
Go
lost
through that.
Daniel.
DeMar DeRozan with 6 points tonight, 2 for 10 from the field. Precious Achua, 2 points. That's Tommy's guy right there. 3 rebounds. Maxime Reynaud, 14 points, 14 rebounds. I thought he was the bright spot in this.
Agreed.
From this team tonight, like really, really working hard, despite the score being what it was. Dennis Schroeder, 4 points. Zach LaVine, 17. I mean,
That's
Nick Clifford, 15. Another young rookie that gave them their stuff. So right now, we just gotta get that. The Kings at this point need to ship away these big contracts and just rebuild with guys like Nick Clifford, Maxime Reynaud, and just try to find a new spark so they can light the beam a little more. Maybe next season.
I love seeing them. I'm not a Kings fan by any means, but I'm saying I love seeing them like that being. They started the win tradition. Like they started it in Sacramento. Like I know.
Agreed, yeah.
Like what you're seeing in San Antonio with the drum with Wemby and stuff, but they started that in Sacramento. But for the Celtics though, Boucher. Gotta love that 3 at the end, adding to his stat line. Let's go, Boucher. Tommy's guy, Minot, a 3-pointer. And again, I don't know why Missoula hasn't inserted him at all. Like, you saw the garbage time recently too, and I think he had 6 points. I think he had like 2 threes or something like that a couple games back. But gotta give Minot more time, in my opinion. We might hear that with Tommy later, but Gonzalez, 2 points, 4 rebounds. Jordan Walsh, 5 points and 3 rebounds. And Hauser came in, and as you guys mentioned, with the double digits. This starts off it right here. Hauser with 10 points, 3 rebounds. Anthony Simons, and him even being in trade talks and getting to him, he still has a good night tonight with 16 points. Andrew's guy, Luka Garza, tonight with 11 points, 8 rebounds, providing them.
As always.
That's his guy. And I have word from Daniel that he is coming back. By the way. Coming back. The power lines aren't. Maybe they are. We'll have to see. But then you had Derek White tonight, who had 7 points, 2 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 blocks. Again, I think it's an all-around thing, and we're going to discuss this next podcast because I think this is going to be a hot topic. But my question for you guys, too, in the chat, too, is because we're going to discuss this, episode 86. Do you think that Peyton Pritchard has solidified himself as the second option on this Celtics team? Obviously, when Tatum comes back, we don't know what happens. But would you say he solidifies himself as the second option over Derek White? That's going to be a hot topic, and we'll love to talk about that on 86. So make sure to check that out next week. But to add on to it, now getting into the CNR MVP talks. First off, I want to list Neemias Queta, who former team had 10 points and 15 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 assists, and 1 block. Great night from Neemias Queta. Can't discredit it. Peyton Pritchard, who had 29 points, 2 rebounds, 8 assists, and shot 75%, was pretty much automatic tonight and really stepped up in the absence of Jaylen Brown. And we've been talking about him all night. Bonfire Baylor right here. 16 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and shot 60% from the field goal. Bonfire Baylor, make it the nickname, make it trend, because he had himself a night. So, CNR MVP voting. This is going to be a fun one, because Pritchard's catching up to Brown. I got to mention that. Pritchard's really catching up to Brown. But I want to go first, and then we'll all go in order. But I want to vote first, and I'm going Baylor Shireman. I think tonight, he really stepped up, and I think this is a very most improved player night where he really improved, and he's just showcasing his skills. Again, 16 points, and I would have voted him CNR MVP the other night had we won against the Hawks, because I think in that third quarter, he showed a spark, but Missoula never really played him at the end. But tonight, he really showed that this could be an option for the Celtics and got the start tonight. And, it's showing that you can't give up on Baylor just yet. You can't give up on Baylor just yet. So I'm going Baylor Shireman for my CNR MVP, and I think he really deserves it. I think he does. But Tommy, who you got?
Tonight it's a close one. I think Pritchard may have had one of his better games of the year tonight, going 12 of 16 from the floor. He was creating for others with 8 assists, automatic from deep as well. And, with Brown out, I think, he's been the most consistent guy that does step up when Brown is not playing or is having, not his best game out there. So Pritchard has been great. I'm going to go with Bonfire Baylor tonight as well. I think he was due for an MVP game because of, I think the game at Brooklyn where we had the crazy double overtime game. He gave the Celtics a huge spark in that one. I said it earlier, but his defensive mentality and just his ability to play defense has taken a huge leap forward this year, and I think that's why he's seeing minutes. If you look at the box score, he's not wowing anybody with his points per game, but I feel like the more he plays and the more confidence he gets when he is out there, I feel like we're going to see that offensive game grow. He's been a great shooter throughout his basketball career, was a great shooter at Creighton. So I think, the more he gets adjusted to the NBA speed and with the players that are out there, I think we'll see his offense, get better as the year continues and as the years to come. So I'm going to go with Bonfire Baylor tonight as well, and I think he's very deserving of, an MVP.
Well said. Well said. Who we going with, Carl? Who we going with?
Yeah. This is a close one too. Tommy, made a great point with what Baylor did tonight, and essentially the games before leading to this as well. Great, mine defensively, but also on the offensive end tonight too was really good here too. As I mentioned prior, season high 16 points, but then you're, having to compare him against another guy I feel like is deserving of winning Another CNR MVP being Peyton Pritchard, near 30-point double-double, and led this team very well, especially in the absence of Brown and where Derek White wasn't particularly playing his best. So, for my
Be honest.
CNR MVP, I'm gonna have to do Peyton Pritchard, just by that slight margin, just because they really needed that leadership. Peyton Pritchard stepped up once again, and although Shireman is great, I don't know. I'm just gonna have to go with Pritchard in this case.
Carl, you know what I like about you? You stick to your principles, and I like that.
Too.
And I like that.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh. Bonfire Baylor. Come on, man. Bonfire Baylor.
I have a lot of respect for this man, but
Let's see.
I wanted to.
What
He
should
was
I
good.
do? What should I do?
Well, we got Daniel back. He
Daniel.
He goes first.
Daniel, what do you think?
Daniel, did the snow take you out?
Nah, I think it's another case of me just forgetting to charge my phone. I'm pretty bad about that. So it just died. My phone just died. That's all.
No, we got a new one. We got a new one.
No, Griffin, what are you doing?
Gosh, I'm sorry.
That's fire.
Griffin.
I spoiled the surprise.
All
right, keep rolling, bro. Daniel, bro, what you got?
But yeah, I just forgot to charge my phone. That's why I left. But yeah, I think it's probably gonna be Baylor or Pritchard tonight. But I gotta throw Arcata out there. Andrew, you mentioned it. It's the quietest games compared to Baylor and Pritchard. But I think 10 points, 15 rebounds, 3 steals, and a block. 10 of those rebounds coming in the third quarter. I think this was a really comfortable game for him. It was a good game for him. And if you don't know, I'm a big Keita fan because we're from the same country. Well, my grandparents are from Portugal, but Neemias Keita is also Portuguese, and I speak the language as well. So there's a lot of bias going on around that pick. So yeah, I'm going Keita.
Can you say Neemias Keita, winner of this? I don't know. Give us something in Portuguese.
All right, sure. For any Portuguese fans out watching there, that's probably only one. Neemias Keita ganhou o prêmio do MVP do CNR esta noite.
Impressive.
All right, yeah. My vote is Keita, definitely.
So we got. Oh my gosh, we got 2.
Comes down to me.
It does,
Comes down to
because
me.
you could tie for
Big time, Quinny. What do you got, guy?
Big time. Wow.
and he is
Wow.
the Baylor
I
Shire.
like this power. I like this power.
He's the Baylor Shire
Nice.
hater too. So,
I
I
am
know
the Bill Shireman hater.
we're defaulting. You know
Thanos
what?
with the
Bill
glove.
Shireman
You know
hater.
what? Whatever you say though, Bonfire Baylor. All right. Remember the name.
Remember that name.
Remember that name.
You know what?
He's going.
Do you hear it? Do you hear it? Do you hear it?
Fire? Is that the ball?
Bonfire.
Hey!
Let's
go.
That's fire.
Bonfire Baylor. It's heating up. It's heating up.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Bill Shireman tonight. I think he just brought that spark tonight that we needed off the bench, and he added an additional point. And I just like to see him stepping up his game and contributing. So we're gonna need him throughout the rest of the season. Maybe, people are gonna have to sit a couple times here and there. Jalen Brown's dealing with some hamstring injuries. We just need people to step up. And so if there's any positive affirmation or being like, hey, good stuff from Baylor Shireman, that's what I'm giving tonight. So continue to do good stuff, Baylor Shireman, and play hard defense and do the things he does. And I think that's another good piece the Celtics have. So Baylor Shireman, CNR MVP.
Let's go. Enough. Are we gonna? All right, listen, because I remember last year, and then we'll go final thoughts after this. But I want to say one thing about Baylor. Last year, he got the hype that this was gonna be Sam Hauser's replacement. I'm not saying he's gonna be Sam Hauser replacement. I'm not bringing that back because I think Sam Hauser, and we've seen this year that he is so important to this team. But I want to add this. Can Baylor Shireman be an added piece on this bench? And we'll go final thoughts. You guys could sum it up in something like that. Talk about your final thoughts about this game. But I think, and I'll start off with my final thoughts too. I think Baylor Shireman is, if he continues to develop like this, again, he's not developing in Maine anymore. He got that opportunity last year. If he could continue to develop like this, he could really become a star for the Celtics team. Oh, I thought we lost Daniel again. But
Star, Griffin, you got to be
What was
careful. You can't say star.
not a star.
Think
not
role
a star.
player,
Like
Good role player.
Good role player.
He's
not a
capable
star.
of it. I don't disagree.
Not
I
many
think
people who are getting their
contract.
torches.
if he's on good contract and he's good money, I think he's a steal. It depends where we see him in regards to other players. I think he's very capable. He can put the ball in the hoop, but there are at times where he does have some lapses. I think sometimes not much consistency. And to me, this Kings team is not very good. Let's be honest. And to me, Shireman sometimes turns up in games where the stakes aren't as high. And so I still think he has a lot of potential. I still think he's capable of being a good role player on this team. But I also think, we got to temper expectations at times.
No, I agree. And I think he could be a great addition to this team. I meant to phrase I phrased it wrong.
No,
Yeah. Addition to the team. And I think because the only player, like I see 2 players, maybe 3 for our Ron Harper Jr. fan. I see Ron. I mean, he could be a star too. Like, don't forget him. But the only 2 like solidified players that I've seen, like that we just drafted this year, is Amari Williams and obviously Hugo Gonzalez, who's 19 and doing crazy stuff. They're the only 2 that I see be it like a superstar on this team. But that's pretty much it. But ultimately, great win from me. And I think, again, this is a team that it's not a must win, but it's a should win. And they did that and they got it done tonight. But final thoughts, we'll go around. Tommy, we'll start off with you.
I think Baylor Shireman can put Joe Mazzulla in a very tough spot when it gets closer to playoffs. If he continues to kind of play like this, Quinn mentioned it earlier. Obviously, when playoffs come around, that rotation is going to shrink one way or another. And I think it's going to be interesting to see who Mazzulla goes with for these bigger games. Is it going to be Jordan Walsh? Is it going to be Hugh Gonzalez? Is it going to be Baylor Shireman? I think Sam Hauser is definitely going to continue to see, big bench production minutes come playoff time, but I think we're still going to need 1 or 2 more of those younger wing guys to produce and give us some good minutes off the bench. So I think that if Baylor Shireman continues to do what he has been doing over the past few weeks, then he's going to put Mazzulla in a tough spot to have to make a tough decision to see who he's going to go with, for those bigger games. I think some of it could depend on matchups. If, a team has some more size, we might see more of Hugo Gonzalez and Jordan Walsh. But if a team is going with more of a small ball lineup, I think that's where we can see Shireman fit in more. They can switch all screens defensively, and Shireman's very capable of knocking down the 3. We haven't seen him get too hot yet, but I know he's very capable, and I think we'll see it happen at some point. So,
not to mention, as I said yesterday, Shireman's he's got a good basketball mind. He's a smart player. And when it comes playoff time, you want to rely on smart players to make smart decisions, take care of the ball, and put you in positions to succeed. And Shireman has a lot of experience in March Madness at Creighton. He's a talented player. He knows what it takes to win, in my opinion. I think he's a competitor. And he's smart. He's a smart basketball player. And so being able to rely on someone like that in times of intensity during the playoffs, especially because we have a young core in Jordan Walsh, Hugh Gonzalez, you might want to rely on Shireman, who has more experience, more aid in these situations.
No, I agree 100%. I agree. Tommy, do you have anything else though you want to add before Carl goes?
Not really. I think, getting Brown a night off was huge for him to kind of get his body back and get a little healthy for this, they were saying it a lot on the broadcast. That was kind of the dog days of the NBA season. Kind of the few weeks leading up to All-Star break can kind of be a tough time for players to kind of play hard every single night. And, there's still a lot at stake, but not as much as what will be at stake after the All-Star break with playoffs approaching, and seeding is going to, be important at every given night. But, continue to see this team stack wins. I think, Sunday's another favorable matchup for this team against another banged up and young Milwaukee team. So hopefully we can, continue and start a little win streak here.
Yeah, when it comes to Baylor Shireman, last year he was just seen as the second or next Sam Hauser, and has really, now this season come into his own as his own player. And it's great to see him, coming into his own, mainly on that defensive end, of course, being incredibly smart on the court. As Andrew mentioned as well, all we really need from him is just more consistency and seeing him play at the same level or just getting even better, especially when it comes to the offensive end. I feel like he can serve a similar purpose to what TJ McConnell does or has on the Pacers, essentially being that annoying S player for other teams, but of course a benefit for us because he's doing the small things or even, the rough and gritty things for us while, we get our game on and really find ourselves winning because, he's willing to do that. And even though I mainly see that for him, I could also see that role for Jordan Walsh and, of course, in Hugo Gonzalez as well, too, with the way those guys have been playing and proving themselves as well. And I feel like part of the reason why they do that is outside of being a part of this Boston Celtics culture where playing your best and playing your toughest really gives you recognition in the eyes of the fans and the organization. It's also these young guys just wanting to prove that they're just more than, guys they picked up just to sit on the bench. You know what I mean? So definitely great to see, these three guys, especially Baylor Shireman, coming into their own as some of these, excellent, great role players and essentially could be pivotal for us to, making a potential deep playoff run in the future. And again, hopefully that resulting in a championship because of their efforts.
Well said, Carl. What about you, though, Daniel?
I like what you said, Carl, because again, like last year, it was mentioned that Hauser stepping off from that role after this season, and Sharman's ready to step in and develop and fill in that gap. But I think this season we're starting to see more that it's not like Sharman being the next Sam Hauser. It's Bailey Sharman being the first Bailey Sharman. He's his own player. Like you said, Carl, I like that a lot because they both bring, even though they both have like a lot of similarities, they do in terms of um uh um being wing players and what their role is on the team. I think what they offer is a lot more different. I think even though Hauser's defending is underrated, I will say, but like we said at the beginning, Shyman's defense has just taken a huge leap in the past few weeks, and I think we're starting to see more of a difference between the two players and what they both offer differently on this team. So it's kind of going from they have the same role, like Sharman can fill in that role, to they now have different roles because they bring different things to the team. So also like what you said, Tommy, it is going to be and Andrew, it is going to be a big battle when it comes to postseason when it for Joe to consider like who is that sixth or seventh man, who's even going to be the eighth man, like who are we bringing in off the bench more than anyone else. Because I think again, like I said, Walsh, Ugo, and Sharman are three completely different players. Like they kind of play in the similar positions, but they each bring something different to the table for the Celtics, and they have their own ways to contribute. We've seen that from each and every one of them this season. Um, what they can bring and what they can offer and what their ceiling is. So we're just gonna have to watch the rest of the season and see how many minutes each of those guys get and what they do with those minutes in order um to come up with an understanding of who Joe is gonna go with in the playoffs. Also, we mentioned the All-Star break. Don't be surprised if Jaylen Brown starts to sit more games from now on coming up to that All-Star break, because he is going to need to be 100% for that one, or is going to want to be. So he's not going to be playing every minute of every night coming up to that point. So that's in order to give the fans a little heads up. But we're going to see hopefully more leadership minutes from Pritchard in that absence of Jaylen Brown in the future. And yeah, on to the Bucks on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I honestly don't really have a lot to say about this one in regards. I think I covered, majority of it. Very nice to see Shireman perform. I'm happy to see everyone in double digits. I think that's honestly good for a team. Not only as just like a means everyone's contributing, but just as a, like Tom said, you're in the dog days of the season, right? It's nice to have that team win where everyone contributes and you just get that camaraderie and that energy to kind of keep the season going. So these are big wins. These are big milestone wins that you want to kind of get throughout the season to just kind of give you this confidence, this little swagger, and continue to just push forward.
No, well said, you guys. Again, Celtics get a big win tonight, 112-93. And with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. And turn on the Feel the flame bonfire, Baylor. Remember
They're taking him out.
With that being said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe, and come tune in with us again against the Milwaukee Bucks. Early game, 3:30 on Sunday. So make sure to subscribe and check out episode 85 of the CNR podcast. We will see you guys with the next one. Peace, you guys.
Peace.